Well, good morning. And we're so delighted to have Carrie Ahrensberg with us. And as you know, she's got 500,000 followers on TikTok. And one of the most interesting things that Carrie does, in addition to teaching fourth grade, is she's got a care closet. And Carrie, tell us about your care closet.
So my care closet it's literally a closet in my classroom that I transformed from holding books and just extra school supplies to actually holding supplies that kids would need to be able to kind of get through their day without having to leave my classroom to, go to the office to call somebody for a change of clothes or, it's basically comfort and care items for the kids that they can access right inside of my classroom.
And how did you get those items?
Um, I started this back in, I think, 2020. I initially started by purchasing them myself. And the more that I told people about it, they were like, well, let us help you. So I started an Amazon wish list and I sent it out to my friends and family. And eventually they kind of shared it on social media and it kind of blew up from there. And so this closet is almost 100% funded from like followers on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And these amazing donations would not be possible had all of this not come about.
That is so cool. And one of the things I think that is because you deal with a lot of under-resourced children, right? Do you want to
Correct.
say a little bit about the kids you have?
Sure. I am in an area of our town it's very, I almost like to say it's kind of a forgotten part of our city. A lot of the kids just don't have the resources that they need. We're in an area where there is a lot of violence, a lot of poverty, a lot of just issues with crime in the community. And so the stories that these kids are coming to us with are really quite shocking. Maybe not shocking for you, because I'm sure you've probably heard these things through your research a lot. But it's just something that this is a need that our kids really have. And it's something that it's filling for them in such a positive way. So that way they can actually focus on their academics. So I wanted to ask you, I know you've done research on all of this your whole life. How do you think that something like this or any sort of resource support system can benefit kids academically?
Oh, it's tremendous because one of the things it does is it takes away the allostatic load, which is neuroscience for the amount of when you're stressed and your autonomic nervous system is under a lot of stress. What it
Mhm.
does is it increases your heartbeat. It slows down your digestive system. It takes the
Mhm.
blood away from your prefrontal cortex so you can think less clearly. And so, what happens whenever your safety or belonging or your needs are really in your face,
Mhm.
then your ability just to your brain to function really. One study I read said that it lowers it by 13 IQ points.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
is extremely interesting. I have noticed a lot of times, and before I had this closet, when the kids were coming in, maybe they had missed breakfast or they hadn't had dinner the night before, or they were so preoccupied with something that they didn't have that their capacity to hold the information that I was giving them was completely shut off because they had these needs that they couldn't get past until these other needs were met. And so academically, they were not prepared to take on my information until they had these needs filled. So
Yeah,
it makes
one study I saw said that it'll leave the prefrontal cortex within 12 seconds.
oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
it just it's yeah, like you said, they can't focus on it. Yeah.
Right. And when you're hungry, I mean, I think we've all come in contact with a hangry person. And those decision making skills are way down. And it doesn't matter how many deep breaths you take and to oxygenate the brain. When you're hungry, the stomach takes over. So things like we have a breakfast drawer in here because if the kids are late to school and they miss their free breakfast, the first thing they do is they come in and they grab a breakfast from me. We have a little dinner drawer in here that in the afternoons they can take home a dinner. Just to make sure it's something simple like a cup of ramen or something like that. Something simple that they know that they're going to be able to make independently if there's no one at home. I try to keep a variety of food items that they don't have to have resources for. If they don't have a microwave, they don't have a can opener, if they don't have a refrigerator, there's options for them in here to make it, equal for everybody to have some dinner at night. So at the very beginning of the year, I introduced this closet as a community closet. And I model it for them the first couple weeks by, if I come in, I'm like, they might see me back here, like brushing my hair or putting my hair in a ponytail holder or putting lotion on or something. So I try to normalize it for them in the very beginning of the year. And we have a lot of social emotional lessons on wants versus needs, or how to take care of yourself and how to ask for help when you need it. And so it becomes very normal in here for the kids to ask for things and to use it. So there is no embarrassment towards it because they see me using it also. And they're very appreciative of it. I mean, one of my classroom jobs, even in here, is called the care coordinator. And their job is to come back here and kind of take stock for me. They will see what we need to see if we need to run down to our food pantry and grab extra items. Or if they're like, Miss Aaronsburg, we're running low on toothbrushes. It helps me out, and it helps them feel like they have that sense of belonging in my classroom and take ownership of the closet because they're in charge of organizing it. So it's just a very huge part of our community in this classroom. And I know that you, in your emotional poverty book, you talk a lot about school safety and that sense of belonging in all demographics. And if you don't feel safe in a school and you don't feel like you belong, then you're all out of whack. So what do you think, or how important do you think it is for kids to come in and have that sense of ownership and feel like they belong to a classroom like this?
Well, I think it's everything. And one of the things I'm hoping that we will move to in the future, because right now education is in crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I hope that out of it we'll get some better models.
Yes.
But we have it backward. They used to believe that the Earth was the center of the solar system and the sun went around the Earth. All right. Copernicus came and said, no, it's just the opposite. Okay.
Right.
And right now in schooling, we think that the cognitive piece is the key piece if you want to get learning. And actually, the neurosciences is just the opposite. It's the emotional piece, it's the belonging piece, it's this safety piece that actually spurs the learning. So we've got it backward. And I'm hoping that we will, in the next 10 years, rethink that and start looking at it, especially since we have the neuroscience.
I 100% agree. I feel like in here, because my passion really is the emotional part of teaching. I like the academics. I like teaching academics, but really I like teaching the whole kid and helping them grow emotionally and, connecting with their community. It helps them to learn because you don't learn from someone you don't like Rita says. So you can't, if you're in a community or in an atmosphere, an environment where it's just hostile. One thing I will say that has amazed me over the years, I've been in this community or in this classroom even for 12 years, and I've had hundreds of kids come through. It's in their, it's almost, it's in their nature to fight for survival. And so when little things happen, they'll fight, they'll throw punches, they'll push and shove. But when the community is built correctly, in 12 years, I have had 3 fights in my classroom in 12 years. And I think that that's such a testament to feeling safe, to where you don't ever feel like you have to get into that fight for survival type of area. And so it's not disrupted in there. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in, because I just love watching them grow as whole humans, not just like an academic output.
We talked about the fact that you use framework quite a bit to understand your students, okay,
Yeah.
in poverty. But how would you say your students are different now than 5 years ago, pre-COVID?
Oh, well, framework for me was transformative. I read framework probably my second year of teaching or so, second or third year, and I was ready to give up. Honestly, I had a group of kids come through that was very challenging. And once I read framework, it helped me figure out the whys of oh, okay, now this makes sense to me, why you have a brand new pair of shoes but not a pencil, or this makes sense to me why each decision was made, type of thing. Post COVID, I feel like emotionally the children are so much more challenged. And I think it's because I honestly think it's because we made such a huge digital shift to where everything is online. There's less one-on-one human connection. The kids are communicating less. Their communication skills are just so there's such a deficit there. And I'm afraid that as we keep focusing on technology and keep, social media everywhere, we're going to continue to lose them to that and their sense of self-confidence and things like that. I never had to worry about being bullied online as a fourth grader. I can't imagine having to deal with that now. So I just feel like that's such a different such a difference in them right now. The communication is a huge thing.
Well, and one of the things when their eyes are down all the time on their devices,
Mhm.
in the neurology of the brain, they're processing information emotionally. When your eyes are up and you're looking
Mhm.
up, your brain's processing visually. So their
Right.
eyes are down all the time. And you just can't learn some academic stuff emotionally, like math. Math is pretty
Mhm.
hard to learn emotionally. Okay.
Right.
And so it's been I think that's a key issue. And what advice would you give to people? Well, first of all, tell us your TikTok.
My TikTok is
How they can watch you on TikTok, because she's got great practical strategies.
Oh, thank you. I learned most of it from you. So, um, my TikTok is just Miss Aaronsburg Fourth, um, and it's been TikTok is it's been a great learning platform and a great way to communicate with people on here that also are like-minded, where they feel like they want to be more compassionate educators and they want to understand more about their students. There's always those people that think that it's mumbo jumbo, doesn't make sense, it's not trauma, it's just life type of people. But those are the people that make me want to continue, because I'm like, I will change your mind. I will make you understand that there are people out there that just need your compassion a little more. So
Well, 25 years ago when I wrote that book,
mhm.
I had a set of professors write a paper and say it's just absolutely incorrect to say that you have to have relationships for learning to occur.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
that's just not true, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of times when the ideas are first introduced, people just like, no, that couldn't possibly be true. And
Right.
then over time, yeah. So as we close here, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about either getting into teaching or leaving?
The best advice that I can give is to you have to kind of adapt to the children that you're with, and you have to see them as humans, not just an academic output. And yes, your job is to teach the academics, but you can't teach the academics without teaching the child. So if you don't have that connection with them and you don't put forth the effort to understand them, well, a child who is presenting trauma symptoms, you might think is ADHD, and there's, you just have to understand their backgrounds to really be able to reach them. The people who are leaving, I definitely know that a lot of them have valid reasons, and there's a lot of difficulties in education right now as far as unsupportive parents, a lot of behaviors that are not being taken care of foundationally at home. And so I understand that, but I do feel like if teachers just take that time to build their community within their classroom, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be so much better. And taking time on the forefront to spend time doing things like morning meetings and communication circles and having a calming area in your classroom, it seems like it's more work up front, but gosh, in the end, it's going to save you such a headache as far as behaviors go.